I think there's a fine balance between what is a really good decision versus what is an influenced choice. I don't know if I phrased that correctly, but let me explain. I don't know if it's that easy to say that one's ability to make great work stems directly from the investment and the physical... Nah, I'm not getting it. I'll just say what I want to say verbatim. Gear doesn't matter is a ridiculous claim, but there is truth to it. What I mean by this is gear is important. Yes, 100%. It's important in any area. Gear is important for having a good ability to produce anything. But does it mean everything? Absolutely not. In fact, if someone is to say the fact that gear is the only thing that matters in photography, they're wrong. They're so wrong. But if they also say gear doesn't matter, they're wrong. A common acronym that's used in the creative space is GAS. I'm just going to leave it here on the screen. GAS stands for Gear Acquisition Syndrome. I know a lot of photographers face it, but I think creatives in general tend to find this to be a problem that they experience. And it's where you're in the position of getting better at something, but then you think that your ability to progress is only as possible as the gear you physically own. So then it causes you to buy and keep buying, spend some here, spend a little bit there. I need this new lens, I need this new camera body, I need this laptop, I need this iPad, I need this phone, I need this editing software, I need this microphone. It's something that eats away at every one of us because there's something nice about having shiny new gear. This isn't exclusive to camera gear. I know when I was more involved in graphic design and art, I was here trying to have the best iPad that I would need, or what Procreate brushes can I buy to create a good piece of artwork. But I think I'm at that point in the bell curve where I'm starting to realize that gear can only push your progress this much at a time. The skill that you can learn, or the techniques that you can apply just by learning them and implementing them, makes a huge, huge world of difference in any area of creativity. Let's just pretend that this is the 50 megapixel iPhone 15 Pro Max, right? This phone in the hands of a toddler is not going to do anything compared to if it's in the hands of a filmmaker. Does a filmmaker maybe need some things to be able to help it a little bit to become an even greater tool? Yeah, probably, maybe. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this phone is useless in the hands of a toddler, because you still might be able to get the point of view or perspective or angle from down low, or get similar to a worm's eye view type of, I don't know, whatever it is you may be looking for. It's not determined purely by the gear or the skill level. You need both, but mainly skill. I made a TikTok about it once, but there's a very annoying compliment that photographers receive. Oh, this picture looks fantastic. Your camera takes amazing photos. And honestly, I think every videographer and photographer collectively cringes when we hear this kind of compliment. And I understand that people mean it from all intents and goodness of their heart. But the fact is that if I put my camera on the table, it's not going to take the pictures by itself. To be honest, I could even maybe put this camera in someone else's hands, like the person sat next to me. Maybe. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'll take the best pictures. Same with an iPhone. Just because the tool is fantastic, or maybe not so fantastic, it doesn't really make sense that that is what's being called the producer of the work. The same way how if someone bakes a really nice cake, you don't say, oh, this cake is fantastic. Your oven, I need it because your oven can bake amazing cakes. Do you see what I mean? With most musicians, it's the same thing. You don't say to a musician, oh, your violin makes amazing music. You would never say that. You would say to them, you're a fantastic violinist, you play amazing music, not your violin is responsible for all of the work and that's the reason why you create great music, because your violin is fantastic. It's not all in that. In fact, it's less to do with the gear, more to do with the user of the gear. I had this whole problem with gear acquisition syndrome when I was in university, and it got me into a lot of money problems. I bought the 1DX Mark II October 2022, and I used it maybe only until about March because I wasn't getting the use out of it. It was a great camera, but it genuinely didn't make any sense for me to have it. I'm using the EOS R now, and it shoots higher quality photos, better video to a degree. And there's a few points I just want to get out there whilst I'm making this video. Better gear by no means leads to better results. I don't care who says it, I don't care who makes this claim. Gear can always help, correct, but it is not the reason why your work or a professional's work looks good. They could probably use a much less expensive camera and create just as great work. It's got nothing to do with the gear. It just either slows down the process, makes the process a little bit easier, or it's what they're familiar with. There are so many more things that are much important than just the gear itself. It actually links directly to what I said a few videos ago about the problem with the term cinematic and how gimmicks exist. And these different tools that are accessible and available, they can be used 50 times in one video. That doesn't make a video cinematic necessarily. The same way how, for example, being able to shoot in slow motion, the gear is able to do that, but does shooting in slow motion make the work good? Does it lead to better results just because you have more capable gear? I very much do not think that's the case at all. It may seem like it because a lot of people can do such a good job in some areas that they make things look easy. That doesn't mean it is easy. I actually think a person's creativity and their skill is much more important than anything that the camera or the gear in any given case is able to present. Yes, there may be some parts of it that may make a video less likable or more likable. For example, if I take away this microphone and you guys then hear the in-body audio, yes, I will show you. And even if I am here filming like this and you can see the video footage from my phone, which shows that yes, the gear is still necessary to take care of and make conscious decisions about. But by no means does that mean that it's the be-all and end-all for any of it. It's almost more difficult to make yourself limited. So, moral of the story, make sure you take care of your skills and ability to create things. Some people will invest all that money into it because then they think that it will cause them to work harder for the goal further down the line. But I personally think start small and work your way up. My YouTube channel has consisted of the same camera since I started all the way up until now, purely because I enjoy using this gear. The EOS R is an old camera by a lot of standards, but at the same time, it does exactly what it needs to do. Do I want to upgrade? Yes, I do, but there's reasons for that. So the second thing I will say is look out for your needs, not your wants. Do you want 4K or do you need your videos to be 4K? I'm shooting this video in 4K now. If the quality of the video is better, I can zoom in more and then I can use this same video for a reel at a later point. So it means that actually I'm creating something that I can use for a lot longer and for more time, which then gives me a conscious reason to use 4K recording instead of staying in 1080p. Also, there's always going to be new gear, so you're never going to have the latest and greatest, the best thing. You're never going to. There's always going to be new stuff around the corner. You may have it for 2 minutes, 2 months, maybe a year, but it's never going to be much longer than that because new gear gets released, new stuff happens, and trust me, you'll learn a lot more from just studying and learning how to get good at things. Try it. If you haven't tried it and you don't think it's going to work, give it a try. How many people on social media now have tremendous amounts of following just from using their selfie camera? If that's what can be used, think about other matters like consistency. storytelling, lighting, all these different things that can help to make your gear look better, or all that you really need to showcase yourself and your story. The camera's not going to show your story. It's just the means to record it. Your storytelling comes more from your editing, your script, your writing, your producing, all these other things. Making things atmospheric and making things more aesthetically pleasing, that's a whole different matter. But even so, you can improve those things, but it still doesn't correlate to better footage by itself. You have to pair the two things and work the two things together. I take it from me as a person who bought all the gear, got himself into trouble, sold the gear, and now is using only the essentials. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. I will be making a video on that further about AI helping us and being a tool to us creatives, but I'll get there when we get there. Anyways, thank you guys for watching again. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next video next week.